games, they don't look the greatest, but they're gathering this odd audience. It's almost like it's like a revolt against high graphic games. Like it's like people's like, no, we don't care about graphics. We want shitty graphics. We want the worst graphics possible. So, but it's interesting how that sort of presentation has sort of come back a lot more nowadays than it was like maybe maybe mid 2000s, something like that.
Because I don't think I'm alone in saying that. I mean, I don't. It's not all about hyper realism. There's one game. I can't remember the name exactly. It was one of the Kirby games that came out on the Wii, and it had this really cool aesthetic. It looked like it was stitched.
Epic Yarn.
Epic Yarn.
Yeah. That looks so cool.
I was like, that is not, it doesn't have the most polygons or anything like that, but it looked beautiful. And then you look at this other game, Guilty Gear, the new one. Guilty Gear Xrd, it's cell shaded, running on the Unreal 3 engine, and it looks amazing. So it's not all about photorealism.
It depends on what the developer's actually trying to
present.
Like, if they're trying to present a hyper-realistic game and it's not hyper-realistic, that's a problem.
No, true.
If you're trying to create cel-shaded and you create, full-out Disney cartoon, that's a problem.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, as much as I love cel-shading, a cel-shaded Call of Duty would be
I can only imagine what that monster would look like. Captain Price cell shaded. Oh god,
although there was, I don't know if you guys remember, there was this one shooter that came out the PlayStation 2 era, 13. 13. It was like it was Roman numerals XIII.
I know what you mean.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was. What about Killer 7? That was cell shaded to shit. That was ridiculously cell shaded.
But then I guess that also works back into what you were saying, because the 13 game was based on a comic book, so they're trying to go for that comic book aesthetic.
That kind of style.
And then Killer 7 was Suda 51, who is just crazy.
He's a madman. It's like we talk crazy stuff about David Cage and Peter Molyneux, but no, they got nothing on Suda 51. He's just insane. Oh god, but that's why we love him. At least that's why I love him. All his crazy ideas. But one cel shaded game that I like, but I can see problems with is Borderlands, for example, because Borderlands it started out trying to be ultra realistic, and then people were like, but then when it switched to cel shaded, it was like, oh, they got attention because they had a really interesting art style. But I found thinking to myself, did they switch because it was the art style, or was because
it's almost like they're giving up on trying to make it what they wanted, and then just making it something that everyone loves cel shading. Let's make it cel shading.
It was one of those things where it's a little bit like, well, it's a lot easier to work with these kind of textures than trying to go for like something like Call of Duty, because like I could tell, like if they tried to go for ultra realism, they wouldn't have been able to make a bigger game. They couldn't make a big Borderlands because they just don't have the development team to do that. But it was just
I do think one of the reasons why it gained the audience it did was because it had such a unique aesthetic. Because if it had been like hyper real, I mean, this was the generation.
It would have been just another Fallout.
Yes, this was the generation of the first-person shooter, and it would have just been another first-person shooter. Would have just fallen to the sidelines, and now it did. I think the first Borderlands did really well.
It's weird because some people still consider it a cult classic, and I kind of say, well, I think it did pretty well, to say the least. It did better than a lot of people thought it was going to do.
I did not think. I honestly, I still remember when the launch was coming out. I felt a little sad because I was like, oh, this game's gonna come out and it's just gonna fall to the wayside. People are gonna forget about it in a few months.
I found the media didn't do it justice either coming towards its launch. I mean, like half a year before it came out, I was like, oh, I'm hyped for this game. Then it almost like it dropped off the radar, and I was like, I totally forgot about it.
Just completely forgot about it.
Then it releases, and like, oh yeah, I heard about that game like 6 months ago.
I find that really weird how it's like some games you'll be on the TV, and especially this is bad for the Call of Duty games, where it's like I'm always seeing a new Call of Duty trailer on the TV over and over and over. It's always on the online ads, but then there'll be these other games that they have big audiences, but they'll get like maybe one trailer, and I'll see it only once,
or nothing at all,
and I kind of like, well, there goes your whole media campaign then, I guess, because like that's half the battle. It's like you could have an amazing game, and no one will buy it because
Yeah.
nobody knows.
Or you
about
can
it.
have a really awful game and everyone will buy it.
Yeah. Call it.
Yeah, Sony was actually notorious for that last generation. They, I mean, like Killzone, for example. When Killzone 2 was coming out, I think I saw one commercial for that game.
Yeah.
They, I mean, towards the end, they got a lot better at their marketing.
Yeah,
As you
yeah,
could, like,
yeah.
I mean, this, like, the PlayStation 4 marketing has
Yeah.
been amazing.
Yeah, because
That- Yeah, that for the gamers, I know the one that shows like the evolution of PlayStation, like this
Yeah.
kid's room and he goes
Yeah,
from the
it's like
PS2.
a time.
Yeah,
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 their PR people were they actually fired the old people.
that makes
for,
a lot of
And
sense.
they're really-
their PR people for the PS3 were
awful.
terrible.
And
They
they're
were
really
awful.
they're targeting the market that they
Yeah.
know is their market. They're targeting,
Yes.
you know, our generation, the people in their
Yes.
young to mid 20s. Like that's the generation that's been playing Sony since the beginning. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
guess.
and it was a very smart move on their part, but it's funny how their ad campaign was very trollish, especially around the Xbox first reveal. Like that commercial where it's like how to trade games with your friends, and the guy goes,
Yeah.
"Here
Here
you
you
go."
go.
That's something I would expect a troll to do, not Sony to do. And I was kind of like, okay. I mean, but it was effective.
It
It
was, pretty
was
funny,
effective.
yeah.
It was pretty funny. I can't lie. But no,
Yeah.
that what you said actually, cause it's funny, cause I was just thinking that wow, Sony's ads have improved so much. So now that
Yes.
you're telling me that they fired their old PR people, that makes so much sense, and I'm glad because like
Yeah.
Sony had a lot of games this generation that just did not do. They were very good, but did not
Yeah.
sell very well. I mean, even not even like just look at a few months ago, Puppeteer.
Yeah.
Puppeteer came out, and from what I'm hearing, I haven't got a chance to play it. I actually don't
Me
own a
either, I haven't
PlayStation
played
3. Yeah, I hear it's really good, and I also hear it bombed.
Yeah.
It-
Bombed in sales.
It's
Yes.
one of those games that's got
Yeah.
mixed feelings about.
And like, here's another one on the Sly game. There was a new Sly game.
Oh, I
that
played
came
it.
out.
Among-
Apparently, that did very well.
Thieves
It
in
did
Time.
very well,
Thieves
but
in
it was
Time.
still, it wasn't advertised. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, and it could have done so much better if they pushed it. Like that's like something like Jack. You know, that's a
Yes.
classic Sony
Yes.
icon. It was very surprising that they didn't try to advertise that a little bit more.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Sly was always the least popular of the three.
Yeah,
Between
yeah.
Jack, Ratchet, and Sly,
Sly,
was
yeah.
always the least popular of the three.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing they probably produced it on a very small budget.
Yeah, I think that was perfect.
Yeah, so it's because from what I hear in the developers, I forget their name because I knew it wasn't Sucker Punch. The developers, they said that they were very happy with the sales, and I mean, you know, of course that could just be PR bullshit.
Yeah.
But
You never know.
but I think Sony was actually very happy with the sales, which is good. More platformers. I love platformers.
Yeah.
So.
And it's always nice to see creativity because, like you said, we had so many shooters this generation. It was ridiculous, and it got to the point where it's like, oh, another shooter, yay! You know, it was just. It got to the point where it was so like, you know, you were so expecting it. There was no enthusiasm in a new shooter coming out. And, you know, it's too bad because I have nothing against the shooter genre. It just got overplayed so badly this generation that, you know, I think we need to push it away a little bit, you know.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Unfortunately,
You know, one Call of Duty every 3 years instead of
Yeah.
every single year.
What's funny though is that one of the games that I'm most excited for this new generation, in fact, probably the game I'm most excited for this new generation is Titanfall.
Yeah,
which is a
Titanfall.
shooter, and honestly, if it is as successful as I think it is going to be, I think we are looking at 5, 6, maybe 7 more years
of
of
shooters.
first-person shooters.
Shooter.
But I mean, if so long as we don't get to that point of stagnation.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the overpopulation of shooter games is the gamer's fault. I mean, we keep buying them.
We keep buying them. In my defense, I have not bought an FPS since Modern Warfare 2. So
I was a sucker for. Unfortunately, I stuck
I
with.
try to play like literally everything, so it's really
that's-
difficult for me not to
It's,
play
it's,
this.
yeah, it's difficult because like even around like I bought Modern Warfare 2, I bought Modern Warfare, I bought World at War, I bought Black Ops, but right around Black Ops, I was kind of like, I don't need any more Call of Duty.
every
like
time-
there's
yeah.
there's no.
I
need
do
for
play
this.
every Call of Duty just,
to see what it's like.
Yeah, I need to, before I can judge it, I need to play it. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's the same thing every time, but...
But it's interesting, like, this is a topic I discussed with a couple other people, is some people like that. Like especially in Japanese games.
Consistency can be good.
Yeah, because like think about Pokemon for example. Huge success, right? It's the same damn game for 20
different
years.
color cartridge.
Yeah, on a different cartridge. Like I played the new one, I liked it. It's the same game, but if it was a different game, then I probably wouldn't have liked it.
That's
It's just that
very true.
weird.
Yeah.
It's that weird mentality where it's like a lot of people they want the same game to a certain extent, but there's another group of people that's like we want something completely different.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find that balance. Like bring familiar aspects, but bring something new to the table. And I feel like people like games, especially now, they're bringing too much familiar and less new. Like it's too uneven at the moment. It could change, but hopes this generation maybe it'll improve.
Hopefully. Yes.
All right, there's one more topic before we wrap this up that I wanted to talk about. Just downloadable games. Like we're seeing this downloadable games like increasing. Discs. Games buying them in a disc is starting to decrease. People are digitally downloading all these kinds of things. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think this is the wave of the future? Or?
I mean, it's making it more accessible to the gamer. I mean, you can just sit at home, download the games, buy the games when you want, where you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out. You don't have to do anything. But I'm always going to be a hard copy buyer just because I like to build up my library. I like having the
You
physical
like seeing
thing.
that stack of piles grow into like
Aside
that big
from that,
tower.
I also like the security of having a hard copy. I don't like the fact that it's downloaded, but what if I, lose my account that it's associated to? What if what if the file gets corrupted and that's all gone? I can't just re-download it all the time.
Well, as a counter to that, you could say the same thing about because you see with a digital game, you can never. It's very difficult to lose a digital game.
It's true, but
because
it's possible.
Yeah, but
it's
then
easier
it's easier to lose a physical copy than a digital game.
With me, I'm very careful with my library. I keep them meticulous.
Yeah,
like
just
okay, but it is easier.
Again, it's just preference.
Yeah. See, me, I'm actually a big fan of digital. I love iTunes. I pretty much live on iTunes. I buy my TV shows, my movies, my music off iTunes. So I just love the ability to, because like for example, when Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger, the names are so.
I have no idea. I thought you were talking about like a drug for some
yeah. When the first one came out, I had to run around like 3 different EB games to find it.
Yeah,
but if I wanted to
digital, you can.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to go looking for the actual hard copy. And
I had this problem yesterday because I was trying to pick up a copy of XCOM Enemy Within, and the guy was like, "Wow, you're lucky. This was literally the last copy," and I'm just like. Wow, that's thank God.
That's probably going to be another topic later on with GameStop and EV Games,
well,
and that sort of stuff.
But
they say it's the last copy, just to make you think like.
I better buy this.
It's true. It's true.
But
they say it because what if he changes his mind? I'm gonna say this is the last copy.
Because you feel like it's more precious than it actually is.
Yes.
But the thing that I just as far as like disc copies, it's like. For midnight releases especially, it's like, you can't do that with downloadable game. It's like, oh, this game is only available downloaded, like, midnight release. Like, for a download, I click a button.
No,
like, for, like, games, like, some games, like, even Grand Theft Auto 5, you get in the line, and you've got all the posters, they make it a little bit of an event, and they add a lot more of, like, an emotional, like,
it creates a community, too, because you're in the line, you're waiting with people, you're talking about the game, you're pumped up. With digital, like, they're making it so you can download them early and then it's not active until
digital is all convenience where there's like you're clicking a button and there's no emotional attachment to that purchase because you were just click.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like I will always support games being on disc because I don't want them to disappear.
Yes.
I want that to be an option. I want people to be able to get it easily and efficiently.
Say if you can't find the hard copy, you can always just download it on the internet.
If I could just say something, because I seem like I'm the only pro-digital. Another thing that I really like about digital though is because like now this last generation, one of the games I played the most was Mark of the Ninja.
Oh yes.
And it's an amazing game, but honestly, Mark of the Ninja and Magic the Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers, those are both amazing games. But honestly, the reason why I played them the most was because they were digital and I didn't have to get up to change the disc.
On that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up.
I think it's time to wrap it up, but that was a great episode of the Electric Podcast, and I'm Tanner.
And I'm Kevin Andrews.
And I'm Fuaz.
And we're out.
See you guys.